Hey everybody, I've been getting asked a certain question a lot. When do we get to meet the cast of iCast Fireball? Well, everyone, have I got some exciting news for you. We will finally be holding an official iCast Fireball and Improv Tabletop TTRPG meetup in Utah this year, 2025. We are extremely excited for this, and thank you for your patience as we've crossed our T's and dotted our I's over here. But this meetup, again, 2025, this year will be August 9th from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. at the Game Grid in Lehi, Utah. Not only will you get to meet the cast and get to play some awesome board games together, but we'll be also holding a Q&A where you can ask the cast members of the cast, whatever question you have, whether that pertains to how to DM certain tabletop systems or character creation. And if that doesn't already sound like a blast to you, you will also get to participate in a one-shot of D&D, Blades in the Dark, Fate Accelerated, Avatar Legends, whatever TTRPG system one of our cast members will be providing and dungeon mastering themselves. We cannot wait to meet you all. Tickets are now on sale at the website in the episode notes below, and they're only $10 a piece. We have limited space available at the venue, and we might even have some merch there that you can pick up. So run and grab your seat now. Come see Jacob, Ned, Josh, a few players from IMTAP, and myself on August 9th. And as always, let's keep that fire going. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of iCast Fireball, an actual play 5e D&D adventure where we go through the campaign Skulls and Shackles. My name is Thomas, your DM for this adventure, and around the table we have
Lieutenant Ignis Halcon,
Maximus Shans,
Ataraxia Kalian,
and Buster Bilgewater.
a hammerhead shark was turned to coral by the, I won't say wandering arcane mishap of Buster because it was focused in, but rather the expert arcane knowledge that Buster had to imbue the magical force that he did not know would come forth from the trident Zool. This shark turned completely to coral, from flesh to stone, if you will, and that has ended the battle, leaving our party the ability to loot the throne room, figure out what is here, and after a poisonous gas cloud to the face for Max, able to find a couple magic items here to look from. Ignis, battling with her inner demons, maybe we shall say, had a real quick 180 happen as Ataraxia, upon being presented with the loot as the captain, gave the very item Ignis had been struggling with, the symbol of power of the Sahuagin, leaving and giving them free passage, or at least the authority to pass through these halls. And with these magic items in tow, with the plan to bring the Satyr's Song to the cove, Mancatcher's Cove, to bring the rest of the loot and plunder on board, that is where we join our adventurers on this week's episode of iCast Fireball.
I feel like that whole adventure could be like a visual of it, could be edited. The song, I think it's called Airplanes, which is the all I wanna do is and
Paper Plane.
yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and complete the rest of the loot here. Now that we have some downtime here, having the authority, or rather the symbolic nature of the Sahuagin, any Sahuagin that you encounter, you display the trident proudly, declaring that the king is dead, Krelrut is gone and no more, and the Sahuagin flee from your presence. Scattered, without leadership, moved with fear as the four of you, one of you awkwardly wearing the armor with your ears poking out.
run away.
One of you displaying the magic trident. Ataraxia being at the forefront of the party, declaring these words, and Max with his teeth bared at the back of the party with a slow, soft, growly chuckle. The Sahuagin clear out of this whole network of tunnels, and you're able to leave without issue. Takes a little bit of time to pull up the treasure chest, specifically, but nothing a quick sailor's knot can't fix as you pull with the three people up top heaving and hoeing the treasure chest to the shoreline. It is surprisingly light for its contents which it contains, as it should, as it acts just like a bag of holding, but in a treasure chest. And unlike a bag of holding where you can't see what is in there, you have to know the contents of it. This one you can look in and you can see through a little rummaging what is in the contents of this. I will also, with Identify Buster, since you are already probably going to cast this as the days of travel go ahead, not only does this benefit the stuff inside the treasure chest itself, this reduces the space needed on the ship itself.
Infinite
for
loot.
Good stuffs and treasure. So this reduces the space that you need in your cargo hold, for instance, by 50%. So you can now hold double the amount of stuff that you had before. So I believe we said that you could hold maybe like 3 points of plunder. You can now hold 6 points of plunder on the Satyr Song here before needing to turn it in.
How plunderful.
How plunderful.
There is another magic item that is contained on this ship here, or rather in the treasure. I will leave that to Max to discover when the properties of that, as it is the spyglass he now holds on his person. There are some bits and bobs I'm going to discuss, though, about not only did you have gold, but you also had types of art pieces that you found amongst the treasure chest specifically. A few things to note. One of them actually seemed to be Krell root in a waterproof canvas, rather heroically having been crafted or drawn by somebody without his armor, bare-chested, trident being held on, and you're like, I'm not sure if the art itself is worth the canvas, but the canvas is very nice because it's waterproof, and so this art, by its very nature, has to be quite a pretty penny here. 25 gold pieces in fact. But you find other things, like one of them is actually an idol of like ivory that has been carved. This one it's very clear that this is like, oh, this is definitely a nice piece. This almost looks, you first see it and it almost looks like a dragon, but on closer inspection and Ataraxia, while you're going through this, you're like, oh wait, that's not a dragon. It is a large creature with wings that are extending out of its back. The wings are almost double the length of the body. And there seem to be horns protruding out of the top of the head and the sides of the face, like massive tusks, and like jagged, where its knees would be, there's like jagged carapace that is jutting upwards, almost acting like armor itself. It just seems to be a horrific creature with a tail wrapped around its body, but beautifully, intricately carved. It is a good piece of art, also worth 25 gold pieces worth for this particular art piece. But other than that, the rest of it is plunder that you have, and you've got the gold and you've got the electrum pieces as well.
Did you say there were 2 points of loot down there?
There was 2 points of loot down there, and surprisingly, a thing of loot or plunder in the treasure chest itself.
Sorry, there's 3 total from down there.
So there's 3 points of plunder. Just 2 of them you have to figure out how to get out of there, which I believe is why you wanted to bring the Satyr Song to Mancatcher Cove specifically, correct?
Correct. Isn't that our plan? Was to bring the crew, wait 24 hours, cast water breathing on as many as we felt like would be helpful down there, and then get the loot.
As you're traveling back on the Chalupa Crunchwrap is what I was going to say. On the Silvery Barb is what the name of the ship is. Max, you had something?
Well, no, just for when we get back with the Satyr Song to the cove.
You let the exhaustion sort of like wash over you. It has been an eventful 12 hours for you, as this has taken place mostly at night, but also Just a lot of emotion for all but Ataraxia, of course. But just a lot of energy required. And Ataraxia, you even feel your energy zapped, right? You feel just sapped of that energy. Maybe that is contributed to the stare that you've had of just not quite knowing where to go with the crew, what the exact next steps are, things like that. All four of you, though, just are so grateful that there is an automatic sailing/rowing feature on the Silvery Barb.
Ignis, you can stop. You can stop, Ignis. You don't need to keep doing that.
She will row because the exhaustion is better than confronting the emotions.
Hey.
Avoidance. That is accurate. Yeah. And as the mood of the Silvery Barb here, the seats get a little bit fluffier, a little bit more cushionier, as it allows you to sort of like sink into the seats. Except for Ignis' seat, apparently, as she wants to be alert, as she wants to be not in comfort right now.
It grows some spikes for her.
There's just small needles digging into her.
Okay, she's not a sadist. Can you calm down?
Sorry. Let's back that up. As the just soft glow emanating from the ship is just rest. Just rest. And you successfully get to the Satyr Song without issue and are greeted by none other than Sandara. She reports to you first, Ataraxia. Aye, Captain. Oh, do believe you be here in one piece. Some of you a little bit for the worse for the wear, as she points to you, Buster, with some old scabs being formed from magical healing, right?
I still have the armor on me. I go, we got gold, everybody. Yeah! I'm see if I can get anybody to respond.
I do believe I see that. Captain, successful then, eh?
Very successful. There's even more loot down there. There was so much that we couldn't bring it all by ourselves. So we're actually going to need to put together a little diving crew. Anybody who's interested in being able to breathe water for a bit, it's a wild experience, and that experience can be yours as we grab a whole bunch of loot.
In 6 hours, I'll be on my bed.
As she throws her head back. Oh, leave it to the four of you, the Captain's Council, headed by our intrepid captain here, to find the legendary loot. Who knew all this from a makeshift map on the back of a dead woman? Oh, proud of you, Captain. Proud to be a part of this crew. Thank you. Thank you for leading us forward into victory.
Hey, thank you for trusting me to do it.
Max, she's going to shout some orders. Anything you wanted to do before or after that?
Not till we get to the cove. I guess Max will just, as we put the chest in, Max will just kind of just business as usual, just not really talking to anybody. We'll just climb up to the nest to be kind of the lookout, and he'll take out the new spyglass just to, okay, what's on the horizon?
Okay. Yeah, as she yells to everybody like, all right, lads, get the sails up. Let's head on out there. We got some plunder for us to gather. And as you pull out the spyglass, you pull out to a normal distance, and you're like, oh, okay. Oh, and this is a nice spyglass. It's like gold, and it itself could probably get you a nice penny. And as you push it out, you're like, oh, okay, cool. And you kind of like look back at Mancatcher Cove, and almost like as you cough and are adjusting, you actually push it further than what it should go. And you're like, what? And you sort of like look at it, like you take it away from your eye and you look at it, and it didn't extend physically, but you put it back to your eye and you're able to make it go farther than a normal spyglass. This
awesome.
is called a far glass. The far glass specifically works that...
What's a far glass far? Okay, sorry, that's all. I apologize.
A far glass and a spyglass you could normally, on a good day without any weather and a perfect from the crow's nest, you could see about 3 miles away. A far glass you can see 10 miles away without obstruction. And as you're fiddling with it, you actually look at Mancatcher Cove, and you look at, you actually are able to see very distinctly like a primate, like a monkey, climbing amongst the vines atop the cove. and you are like adjusting, and your thumb actually slips over like this little latch. It's more of a button, and you accidentally press it. And as you do, you hear the far glass start to like
He can hear.
Here.
and you can hear the monkey, like the scratching of the monkey. And you hear it scream. You can hear what you are seeing right now.
That's crazy.
For this whole kind of arc, as there's been lots of arguments and things, Max, even though his teeth naturally bare, this is the first time this whole adventure that it actually curls a little bit into a smile, and he goes, nice.
Essentially, mechanically, we're going to talk about this is the clairvoyance spell.
Okay.
You basically there's an invisible sensor that is created wherever you are looking, and it turns on and you can hear up to 10 minutes. But at the end of the 10 minutes, you hear the far glass. And you can only be used once per day.
For both seeing and hearing, or just the hearing?
Just the hearing. The seeing stays. You can still see 10 miles away.
That rules. What a find.
That is your far glass. So, that is the majority of the loot that you have gained, and the plunder is quickly going to be joining the ranks of the rest of your plunder here on the ship. How much plunder did you have before? Was it one, or had you completely exhausted it?
We had one loot before.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
And now we can have 4 because we have the extension to the loot.
Yes, you do.
Hehe.
Well, as I imagine the 4 of you are probably going to at least take a little bit of a breather. I know, Buster, you're passing out for a bit to try to get a full, long rest here. So Buster is going to be passed out for a bit here.
I'm magically spent. And physically.
Ataraxia, were you going to be taking a long rest on this portion here?
A long rest would be nice. I am at like a third of my hit points.
Oh, that shark.
Yeah, I still have a decent amount of spells left, so I wouldn't mind a long rest. And if Ignis and Max are planning on staying up and are low on hit points, I could toss a couple Cure Wounds your ways so that you don't have to worry about a long rest.
I'm not too bad. I got 37 hit points still, so as long as Thomas doesn't make us roll a d6, I'll be okay.
I only lost 2 hit points.
I'm going to remember that, Mickey.
We had our squishy guys at the front in that fight.
I think the shark just focused on the squishy guy.
Ignis did not even go in that throne room. It was all her echo.
Yeah, Ignis, that darn echo. Got to target that echo more. Make a note.
No, let's
Get
not. Never
Mickey.
mind.
Eat the echo.
Mickey. Get the echo.
Get Mickey. Not Ignis. Get Mickey. All right. Excellent. So, Buster and Ataraxia, we'll go ahead and say that you two turn in for a long rest.
Do we
at this
rest in the
point.
same area? I don't know where Buster sleeps. I
I
haven't
think
really
we all sleep
thought
in the
about that.
captain's quarters. Like we made like individual spaces.
I know everybody has their spaces. I was imagining Ataraxia is the only one that sleeps in there, as there is only one
Oh,
bed.
okay. For some reason, I thought-
We've said different things at different times.
Here's what I'll say. If the two of them are busying themselves with things around the ship right away, and I clock that Ataraxia is going to rest, if I can get a moment alone with Ataraxia, I want it.
Yeah, I'd say everybody's welcome in the captain's quarters if they want.
Yeah, I don't think Ataraxia is pushing anybody out of the captain's quarters. I mean, it seems like Ataraxia is like, oh, sure, go ahead.
That's where I keep my spell components anyway, so I might as well.
Yeah, her altar's still in there too.
As things are winding down, Ataraxia and Buster, you find yourself in the captain's quarter. Just getting ready to turn in, getting ready. Buster, you are taking off the armor. I would say you're not going to sleep in that, right?
No, I'm never gonna wear it again.
Right.
Once the thrill of it's gone, it's lost its fun in wearing.
Yeah, that whole not being able to cast spells while you're wearing it thing.
Yeah.
Tricky.
Yeah. And you are beat up. In fact, you like open a wound even, and you're like, nope, don't like that. Ataraxia, you see that happening as he's really struggling to take some stuff down, and you're like, I feel that. I got bit. I got hit by a shark. And you both kind of like have just like this like shared moment of pain or at least discomfort in the captain's quarter.
And I walk up and I'm like, hey dude, I'm going to sleep right after this, so why not? And I'll just 4th level cure wounds.
Woo! 4th level.
Captain.
Whoa!
Oh, Captain, my Captain. Thank you. That was very kind. Man, you know though, it comes with the adventure. It hurts, but like I don't even really pay attention to it when I know that we've successfully captured plunder that no pirate has caught for years. It's a good feeling, Cap.
We claimed the old king's hoard, and I bestow upon you 24 hit points.
Oh my goodness, that maxes me. I think almost perfectly maxes me out.
Nice.
It does. That's exactly what I have left. That was amazing. I was at 22, and I have a max of 46. So 24. That's it. Wow, perfect. I am perfectly healed.
Booyah.
Oh man, Cap. Listen. I'm gonna, as I'm putting stuff away, I'm just gonna start talking like while we're doing things, kind of just like very candidly. So listen, I know you kind of have your heart set on pursuing the Fey Realm and all that. I just want you to know we don't have to do that.
The entire time you've been speaking and doing your stuff, I've been playing Paper Planes by MIA on my kalimba. And I kind of pause and I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, we don't have to, but I want to. I mean, we're pirates. We can do whatever we want, right? That's the whole pirate thing.
And listen, absolutely. And now having put stuff away, he'll kind of turn to Ataraxia, kind of rest against like a wall or something, and I mean, you say the word, Cap, I'm with you 100%, right? You've got my loyalty. If the Fey Realm is where we go, I mean, I summoned that Fey guy, the wino, to figure out our first steps. I'm on board if that's the plan. I got an uncle who was really dedicated to figuring out the being that gave us some of those like eldritch abilities that I have that are like not arcane. I had an uncle who was like dedicated to finding that being and submitting himself to him and really wanted to kind of pursue it. And I mean, long story short, the old guy went mad. He never found what he was looking for. It really, he was a terrible farmer and a terrible magic user, and just it never turned out for him. So it's we can pursue this thing, but there's just so you know, like there sometimes instead of finding what you're looking for, you just end up more lost. So I'm just saying I'm behind you, Captain, and if we just want to do adventures, we can just do adventures. We don't have to save the world or fix all of our problems. We can have great problems and be great adventurers.
Hey, that's they're not mutually exclusive things. Maybe your uncle was a bad farmer and a bad magic user, but here's the thing, you're a good farmer and a good magic user. So I mean, Buster, you're afraid of something. What are you afraid of?
Yes! Yes! Thank freaking heavens. Are you looking for something? Buzz, by the way, when you say you're a good farmer and a good wizard, it sobers Buster really quickly. Like, it kind of hits him harder than you ask him what he's afraid of. Captain, the things I'm most afraid of have already happened. My worst fears came true, and I'm living in the aftermath of that. I'm always afraid. Everything's terrifying. The two things that I figured out can still bring me some sense of gratification is the freedom of the sea and gold. And maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's shallow, but it's simple and tangible.
What used to make you happy?
Do we have any drink in here? Is there any alcohol?
There's hundreds of Mountain Dew cans. Just
I'm looking around.
Everywhere.
Buster's gonna
Mountain Dew cans in the corner.
Yeah.
The Fey Realm classic drink of a Baja Blast.
Buster's gonna pop a cork if he's asking.
You know what? I think I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure in my Diplomat's pack, I think part of what's included in that is like a bottle of really fine alcohol for plying people.
Buster's gonna take the alcohol and he's gonna pour a glass and he's gonna sit in the captain's chair, not thinking about it, just it's a chair, you know what I mean? And he's gonna sit down there and kind of rest his elbow on the desk, hand on his chin, take a drink. And now he's middle distance looking. You can tell he's doing some kind of calculus in his head about like, do I tell it all or do I just say something to get past this moment? And he kind of clocks back in, looks at Ataraxia, I'm guessing just smiling like he always is.
Like always.
There's something very, I think, maybe you see like he's sad at how you are. And so then he kind of looks down and he says, her name was Anne Marie. I don't know, maybe she was getting flowers or picking berries. She's a grafer from the burrow in the valley over. I don't know, it was a windy day. I think it was a rotten tree. And I saw it kill her. And he'll look up at Ataraxia. I heard her calling out for her mother. I think it was my 11th autumn as a kid. That was my first premonition when my divination magic manifested. And I think somewhere I knew what was going on, but when I came to, I ran to the woods fast as I could. And I felt the wind, and I saw her, and I saved her. And I didn't want to be a wizard, you know? I am a good farmer. I'm very good. I'm good with my hands. My mom knew. I don't know. Maybe she saw it, but she knew I'd be a wizard. She always said I would. But it wasn't until I saved Anne Marie that I fell in love with magic and what it can do. And then I fell in love with Anne Marie. And I think we maybe were friends for 6-7 years. And I saved her life about 10 times.
Wow.
Did you say how?
No, I just said wow.
Oh.
But if you want to expound,
I do not.
Okay, puts the scroll and the ink pen back into the satchel.
No. They didn't have wizards in her valley, so the crops went bad and they had to ship off to the city. So I wanted to follow. I wanted to go with her. I think she was better than this world, and I was keeping her here. She died in the city. And the funny thing is, I don't even know what happened. I never saw that. I was getting ready to leave, and my dad had just come home from a trip. He said, "Bartholomew, you don't need to bother. She died. There's nothing there for you. The soil needs you now." The soil needed me, right? So I left. Damn the soil and damn them. And one way or another, I found my way to the sea and fell in love again with the freedom. So I love what we're building here. I don't know, but I don't want to lose it.
I think we need to keep you away from that soil, man.
Agreed.
Do you ever feel cursed?
I don't know. I never felt like it was me that was the problem.
I think that's good. It's an interesting, like, the perspective, the optics on this kind of stuff is weird because people look at me and they're like, you're happy all the time. Isn't that a curse? And people might look at you and they might be like, you know, if you could gaze into the future, you might think life would be a dream. But man, it seems like, I don't know, not being able to control when you get your visions, when the divinations come necessarily. I can see how that would be rough.
I mean, I've got more control now than I did then. I was a kid. The magic's a little wild when you're young, and I'm a good wizard. I know what I'm doing, right? Yeah. If there are things I want to keep alive, I tend to stay close to them these days.
Hey, glad you're here.
And as this, I don't want to stop the conversation, just add a little bit of flavor to it as well. As just in this moment of the conversation, as you take a pull, Buster, as you're thinking of Anne Marie and thinking of your experience and of trying to go to the city and trying to find her, trying to find out what happened, but just everything, all of the pain that has chased you from that moment, all that time, as you take that pull, you just, it's almost like you feel, ironically, just like a second heartbeat in that room with you as you think back to this experience, right? Just like that definitive moment, because with your divination, you're able to put yourself in other people's shoes in those moments, and as you think back to Anne Marie and the close connection you had with her, and just brings you back to where you're just in the semblance of sanity again, and semblance of emotion, to where you remember what it was like to feel in that way, and you just feel and hear that heartbeat just gently.
Cap, I'll cork the bottle now. When I found Meredith, I don't know, I think part of me thought I could save somebody again. And, not to overuse the term, but I think I went a little overboard, right? And I know it's going to take time to win back the trust of you and the rest of the council. But, look, I'm all in, all right? And he wipes away, like, what were probably some tears. And, I just want you to know, Captain, there's no destined spot, okay? Cursed, uncursed, family, no family, the sea's ours.
And we're here together. You know, like you said, you don't think that you're the problem with, you know, all of the weird, I don't know what family stuff you've got going on. If it's eldritch, like you say, I'm sure there's some creature somewhere out there that needs something that it's forcing your family to do for it. And you were born into that. I can't blame you for that. You were cursed, beguiled, bamboozled by a weird hag in a heart. I can't blame you for that. You're not the problem.
Okay.
Now, a while back, I exercised my captain's authority and ordered you to interrogate your deepest wants and desires that may have been beyond the boundaries of what a captain is typically expected to ask their crew. If you just want plunder and freedom and the feeling of the sea foam spraying on your face, that's enough. We'll pursue that.
I want the council. I want this. I don't know what the four of us are. And I know I've kind of been terrible at it. But I want to keep us together.
Would you like to be something Would you like to be a brother, perhaps?
I don't think we need to label it.
That's okay, my dude.
I'm your helmsman, Captain. I'm your
That
helmsman.
works for me. That bottle, I've had it for a long time.
It's strong stuff.
Is it good? I've never opened it.
I'm gonna knock out. I'm just gonna pitch a cot over here, and get some rest so I can take a group down to get the rest of that loot.
Hey, man, I'm excited to see what you guys can bring back. I'm glad that you are here.
I look at the captain, and then I look back at the wall of ballads, and I go, funniest thing, Captain. I'm glad I'm here too.
And I resume playing the song Paper Planes by MIA on my crush.
Buster, as you shuffle off to your cot, your hammock, whichever you're deciding to sleep in right now, as there's some open ones that you can choose from, you are feeling different. Probably for the first time in a really long time. Even different than when you were helmsman on your previous ship, different from when you were captured by Harrigan, different from when you initially made that first trip to the city and feigned your death. You feel like a little piece of you has been put back together. As you lay and let the rocking of the ship, as you fall asleep to the smell of a wildflower and the humming of a familiar voice in your ear. That's how Buster drifts off to sleep. Ataraxia similarly recording the experience, not being able to feel the emotion himself, but being able to record the emotions of others to try to understand them. He spends the next little bit of time jotting it down, writing the experience of others, elevates them, draws importance to seemingly innocuous experiences.
And one of the things that I write down in particular is Bartholomew may be dead, and I mourn his losses, but Buster Bilgewater has a bright future ahead of him.
Pulling the poetic nature from your mother, which has just fed through you as you've tried to understand her more, you are able to wrap up this small conversation that you had with Buster before you two turn to bed and let yourself drift off. This leaves our two remaining crew members up and about, doing their chores, their duties, bumping into one another occasionally. Max coming down from the crow's nest, as it is a few hours. We're giving time for those to recover and don't want to rush in fast. So one of the shifts, you and Ignis, you cross paths on the deck here. But both of you either lost in thought, as Max also experienced the middle distance look underneath the sea. And you're left to do what either of you would like to do as well for these few hours.
Well, if I can be indulgent, I have a lore lead-in to the RP. Jake, did you have something you wanted to do before we got to the cove?
Nope, I'm just looking.
Excellent.
Absolutely. So, Ignis?
So as they were rowing back from the cove, one of the reasons that Ignis did decide to manually row, even though there's automatic rowers, is to try and escape those emotions, right, that we had talked about going into the cave. And now that she's on the deck of the ship and it's quiet and there's nothing to do, the conversation on the beach keeps replaying and replaying and replaying. And she can feel the shift of the council, and she feels deeply responsible for it. That there is a rift that has happened within the council, and she takes responsibility for it. And so, unsure of how to fix that, she does what she always does, which is go to Runeterra for guidance to pray. So she creeps into the captain's quarters, even though Buster and Ataraxia are sleeping in there. That's where her altar is. So very quietly, she goes over to her corner and she kneels down on her rug, and she'll pick up a thin piece of incense and she'll place it in the small bowl of sand that's at the base of her altar. And out of her pocket, she'll take out a magnifying glass contraption. She's never really explained or shown you guys. You've seen her use it to light Sandara's pipe a few times. And she'll snap with her other hand a few times trying to cast light. And eventually she gets it right on the edge of her finger, and she uses the light cantrip through this contraption to light the edge of the incense. And a small stream of smoke begins to spiral upward toward the ceiling, carrying her prayer to the nether realm. And she'll whisper, because there are people in the room, in prayer, Runeterra, how do I repair this tear in our tapestry? Is this unraveling of our crew fated? Or did you bring us together for a reason? If it be thy will in thy infinite sight, please instruct me. And no one responds. So she tries again. Please, speak to me. Please. And she waits again, but silence is the only thing that she hears. So enraged, she grabs the incense stick and she'll extinguish it in the sand, and she'll rip back the rug, throwing it across the room to reveal a ton of black charcoal lines. And she'll use the charcoal of her incense stick to add one more, right next to the others. One mark for every day that Runeterra has refused to communicate with her. There's one for every day since the day she was sold to the slavers. And so, frustrated, she will close her eyes, and as she opens them, she rips into Runeterra's domain, where she usually sees her other selves, those golden lines, and there's no one else in the room. Because apparently, no other version of Ignis needed to go to Runeterra for guidance. It's just her. Great. And again, she's alone. So as she stands up to leave, she notices a small thread glittering off one of the rays of the moonlight streaming in through the window. And unable to stop herself, she reaches out for the thin thread, which breaks as she touches it. And a grayscale Ignis forms in front of her. This Ignis has her long red hair pulled up away from her face. She's wearing the same pants, boots, shirt, but the corset that she normally wears is missing, as are her bracers. So the marks on her arms are on full display. She doesn't have as many as other angels had, but she certainly had more than she probably should have. Most of them are thin and that healed really nicely, but a few done by the cruelest shepherds are jagged and they healed really poorly, leaving these dark, crooked marks. And as the echo moves forward toward Ignis, it goes straight through her, and as it comes out the other side, all of the color drains from Ignis and bleeds into the echo, essentially leaving a shell of Ignis behind in the captain's quarters as the echo exits out onto the deck. For mechanical purposes, this is her echo avatar. And so the avatar then comes out, and as she looks up, Max has returned back to the crow's nest, and she can just see the bottom of his dragon's face as he's looking out over the edge of the nest. So she beelines it for the ladder that leads up there, just as she's done almost every day for their lessons. And once she gets to the top, she finds Max standing there keeping watch. As always, she goes up to the railing and leans on it, right next to him. Here. She'll gesture to him with the closed fist like she's trying to give him something.
Does Max realize noticeably that this is not the Ignis he knew?
I don't think so. I think the coloring that she described as it drained from her, I know that Max is fairly perceptive, though. So obviously she is dressed a little different, but it's been hours. It's been hours since you've been here, so certainly not within the first few seconds.
She doesn't have bracers, though.
Yeah, she's not wearing her bracers. Her hair's pulled back. I don't know if he would know that it's an echo or not, because I don't know that he knows about the... But he did write down in his notebook, Lieutenant versus Ignis.
It might be a little different, but it might become more apparent as the conversation goes on.
Max will look over to, obviously, Ignis gesturing and reach out his hand.
Carefully, she'll drop 4 stone-like objects into his palm, and you recognize them as the emblems from her bracers. And she goes, I used to be a captain. Not of a ship, but a platoon of soldiers. Those tokens, that how rank is designated in the Holy Army of Rolterra. 4 white stones, captain. 3 white stones and 1 black. She gestures, and that's what you have in your hands. Lieutenant. I lost my 4th white stone when I lost my platoon. I was stripped of my rank and relieved of my command. I've been trying to restore Rolterra's faith in me ever since, and I have been unsuccessful.
Do you know what you need to do to gain it back?
She gives a mirthless laugh. If I knew that, I don't think Ataraxia would be captain of the Satyr Song.
Max will just hold them and say,
Ignis.
and he'll use that name very specific, not Lieutenant anymore, but Ignis.
When you told me that you can't feel love, that must be very hard.
Ignis looks out over the ocean as the moonlight is hitting the waves as they're sailing. And she'll say, I told you, angels can't feel love. And that's true. But I can. Or I did. But I wasn't supposed to. I'm broken. And she'll kind of gesture to her arms.
Max will, in the most sincere way possible, will giggle, but not like in a haha, look, poor you, as best he can, like just a
that speaks to me very closely. You know, I loved somebody once. I told you about her, my wife. Do you know what's worse than not being able to feel love? Is feeling love. And for it to be impossible to be returned. I had a chance of fate. And I pulled the wrong card. And it ruined me. I am ruined because I can never see my wife again. Ignis, do you know, how did you end up enslaved by Harrigan?
Another mistake. Another choice I made with deadly consequences. We were a scouting mission, and Delta wanted me to stay by the fire, and I thought I knew better. Apparently there were some slavers nearby. If I'd stayed with my group like I was Supposed to. Maybe we could have fought them all off, but I was captured, and they killed everyone who tried to protect me. And then they sold me to Harrigan. How did you end up on this boat?
I sold myself. I needed a way to get away, for nobody to be able to find me again, especially my wife, because if she found me, she would kill me on the spot. So I sold myself so that she wouldn't have to do that. Ignis, faith is a personal thing, and I don't want to question yours. That's for you and your God to decide. But I want you to know, you feel the need to prove something to your God. You never have to prove anything to me. And I'll be here to listen. I like Ignis. You're a good friend. The lieutenant, well, we'll figure that out.
When you were delivering the ballot of Glenlivet, you kept referring to our crew as a family. I thought you were trying to... I'm not sure. I assumed maybe you lost your family or you're trying to go back to it and you were trying to replace what you lost with what you have. I don't know why it happened, but maybe in the grand scheme of things, this is exactly where you needed to be. Maybe Ataraxia needed you. Maybe Buster. Maybe me. I don't want you to torture yourself by trying to force what is to replace what you lost.
I guess that's what we're all trying to find. How do you fill a hole in a soul?
You let me know when you figure it out.
Oh, boy. You'll be the first to know.
As he turns to say that to her, she's gone. And the beads in his hand have faded.
That was a little rude, but okay.
Spell only lasts 10 minutes.
Rude, but I guess. Yeah.
Spell only lasts 10 minutes. So, as he turns, there is a scattering of moonlight where she was. It's not just simple vanish, but she scatters. And as he looks at the beads in his hand, the stones slowly turn into the star stuff that fades behind the silvery barb that melts into that and then floats away.
As this all hangs in the air, the cove in sight, rest for those that need it, time for those that will take it, and the crew of the Satyr Song bustling about to support the goal and actions of the captain and his council. That is where we're going to end this week's episode of I Cast Fireball.
You know, I wasn't expecting this to be one of those episodes, but it
One of
has
those.
turned into one of those episodes.
Cathartic
God.
lore drop.
Teared up. Jeez.
We'll end one of those episodes with a character milestone and level everybody up.
Oh, you don't say.
Oh my gosh. I want to hug them all so bad.
I want to hug all of you so bad.
So good.
All the good
That
RP
felt
moments.
real good.
Dude.
Oh, that was...
When Max said you don't have to prove anything to me, I was gone, gang.
I'm giving everybody inspiration as well because that's what Thomas needed today. So that was good. That felt really satisfying.
We thought we were bringing back Luke to unload, but instead it was baggage.
It was
to
emotion.
unpack.
It was baggage.
But you won't. It was emotion.
You won't be emotional.
But you won't.
But you won't.
We needed a catharsis
right.
episode.
Oh, man.
For the sake of our episode time here, let's try and run through just the basics of the level up. Everyone's going to be getting a 8th level here. Now, Ned, is Ataraxia going to be a bard still?
Absolutely.
Great. And what hit points are you going to be doing?
I'll roll for it and hope that goes well. That's an 8 on a D8.
Yes! Whoa! What's your total?
That is going to bring me up to 57.
Wow.
Nice.
Well done, sir. That's good. And now, who's ready? Who knows the next level they're going to do? I'm guessing. Let's jump down to Mickey. Is Ignis also a fighter still?
Ignis is also a fighter, and I take the half plus my con, which brings me from 60 to 68.
68. Thank you so much for that. Max or Jacob?
Yes.
Jacob Max. Ranger?
Ranger shall
Level
stick.
Ranger. There we
And
go.
I'm gonna roll my D10 here. 7.
Hey!
Plus my
7?
con. Yeah.
That's
Nice.
good.
Dice gods are with us.
And what's your total there?
My total now is 60.
60. There you go. And we'll round it out with Buster here. Buster, you staying wizard?
Oh, all the way. Div Wizard to the end.
All right. Sounds good. You get to roll a D4, right?
D6.
D6.
Barely better. Barely better. And I'm going to roll it.
There you go.
Oh, no, it's rolling everywhere. Back on the table. I'm rolling physical. 5! 5! Plus 2, right?
Nice.
Plus your con. Plus your
So-
con. And then
my
what did
God.
that bring you to?
So that's 46 plus 7 is 51? No.
Wow.
46 plus 7
46
is
is going to
53.
be 53.
Yes.
All right, we will go into special abilities next time as the events of our campaign unfold. But as always, Jacob, Mickey, Josh, and Ned, thank you so much for such a fantastic episode. And listeners, thank you for joining us on this fun, really cathartic episode that we had here today. It was fun to be able to really dive into some of this stuff. And if you like what you're hearing, shoot us an email at icastfireball2020@gmail.com. We've also got social media at icastfireball20, but email is where we will respond probably the fastest. And you can also respond and leave us a really long email about what you've got going on. But of course, we also have our patreon.com/icastfireball20, where if you join our highest tier right now, the $5 tier, you can jump into our Discord and you can chat with us on a daily basis and other fans as well. I've shouted it out last time, but we had our Patreon exclusive DM Prep live stream where I did that in April, and it was a ton of fun. We had almost a dozen people there, I think, bouncing off ideas of like what we should do for magic items and just going through general prep for season 2, and it was so much fun. That sounds fun to you, or if you want to see some of our warm-ups that we do to get ready for these episodes, you can jump in there. We've got a lot of bonus content that you can go ahead and dive in and take a look at that $5 tier or a lower tier as well. We want to shout out our sister podcast here, though, Improv Tabletop. They've also got a Patreon, but they have 2 campaigns going on. One of them is a main feed campaign that you can go jump into and listen to right now, but they also have a Patreon-exclusive Dungeon World, more classic type feel campaign that they've got going on as well, where if you join their Patreon, you'll get their entire backlog as well that you can listen to. So don't forget to leave them a 5-star review on the way out. Lastly, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends and fellow wacky adventurers. But until next time, I'm Thomas, your DM, and around the table we've had
Lieutenant Ignis Halcon.
Maximus Shuns.
Ataraxia Kalian.
And Buster Bilgewater.
Let's keep that fire going, everybody, and we'll see you all next time.